we're trying to be a very alt-friendly game. I think it was a PennyLoafer. I think her video was getting into that.
Wait, am I famous now? Did the Monsters and Memories dev team just personally identify me by name? Yeah, that won't go to my head at all. Please ignore the fact that I've already replayed this clip 17 times. Apparently, I enjoy massively multiplayer games. Which is strange because I do not actually enjoy people. And yet somehow, I have spent years voluntarily entering digital worlds populated entirely by other human beings. Human beings who want things from me, like groups and conversation, coordination, friendship. And yet, I don't want to play alone either. Because there's something comforting about existing in a world that feels alive, even if I experience most of it from a safe observational distance. Which raises a strange question. Why do so many modern MMO players treat massively multiplayer games like solo experiences? In Monsters and Memories, I play a druid with a pre-arranged static group. We have scheduled play nights, reserved characters, and a rule that nobody is allowed to exceed the level gap for the lowest player. And honestly, I think this is probably how the game is meant to be played. Old school MMOs like Monsters and Memories are built around the idea that you're supposed to rely on other people. Classes have very specific jobs, progression is painfully slow, and the game constantly nudges players toward grouping up and forming relationships instead of treating the entire experience like a sprint to end-game content. But if you are an introvert, the concept of looking for a group every single night is, and I cannot stress this enough, an actual psychological horror scenario. It is only slightly less terrifying than being trapped in a broken elevator with a flat earther who has suddenly decided that this is the perfect moment to explain the science. Because look, the only thing more exhausting than searching for a group is realizing you now have to spend the next 4 hours socially improvising with a rotating cast of unpredictable internet strangers. And I am profoundly unequipped for that experience. I have taken many personality tests throughout my life, and every single time I rank 99% introverted. I am reasonably certain that the final 1% is just a mathematical pity vote. The testing industry simply cannot comprehend a human being entirely devoid of the desire to perceive or be perceived by another member of their species. But I am that person. I am the statistical anomaly they have feared. I have achieved a level of social isolation normally reserved for deep-sea trench creatures. So no, I do not enjoy looking for group. I dislike it the same way I dislike surprising dental work. However, having a dedicated static group, that is the holy grail for introverted MMO players. Because once you find the right people, the social burden disappears. You stop performing socially and start existing comfortably inside the world together. And to get there, I am unfortunately going to recommend the thing I least want to recommend. Monsters and Memories has a Discord channel for looking for a group. You have to find your tribe. And I know, the phrase find your tribe makes me physically want to crawl into a hole and pull the hole in after me. But this part only hurts briefly. You're going to have to put yourself out there. You may even need to message another human being. And, God help us all, you might have to reply when they respond back. It is a soul-crushing 60 seconds of social vulnerability. But the reward is worth it. Because now, my group only has to coordinate twice a week. Due to jobs, schedules, responsibilities, and the general collapse of adult free time, we only play 2 nights a week. And honestly, that works well for me. But it does leave 5 unaccounted for days. So during off nights, I gather materials, craft, and work on side activities that let me stay within the group's level range while still engaging with the world. And this is where I will once again advocate for alts. Because having an alt allows me to preserve my main character for group progression while still playing however I want the other 5 days of the week. My alt is a bard, and yes, I prefer to solo on the bard, which is ironic because bards are usually highly desired for group content. But I would argue bards are secretly the most selfish class in MMORPG history. Their songs only work in a radius around themselves. If you leave the radius, you lose my buffs. If I leave the radius, you lose my buffs. You exist entirely at the mercy of my positioning decisions. That is an alarming amount of power to hand to someone who plays lute music professionally. Frankly, the class fantasy borders on narcissism. And all of this eventually led me to a larger question. Why do modern players treat massively multiplayer games like solo experiences, even during this huge resurgence of old-school social MMO design? And for me, the answer is actually very simple. I am introverted. Interacting with people is exhausting. But observing people, that, my friends, is entertainment. MMOs allow introverts to experience a social world from a safe observational distance. Because trust me, I am not attending parties voluntarily. I won't even take my dog to the dog park because dog people see another person with a dog and immediately assume a friendship is about to happen. Look, I own a dog. That does not make me friendly. That means I was emotionally manipulated by a puppy with large brown eyes. These are entirely different things. But MMOs give me access to a living social ecosystem I would otherwise never participate in. I enjoy player economies. I enjoy world drama. I enjoy hearing someone scream, "Train to zone," while 30 people panic simultaneously. I enjoy buying bone chips from vendors for 1 copper because another player panic sold them 5 minutes earlier. That kind of emergent nonsense only exists because other people exist. In a solo game, I would simply have to go farm my own bone chips like some sort of responsible adult. Now, obviously, my reasons are personal, but I think a lot of solo MMO players fall into similar categories. Many people have limited schedules. Some players only have an hour to play unpredictably. Some want to read quests, explore slowly, and absorb the world without feeling rushed. And after a long day, many players simply do not want the pressure of managing group expectations, performance anxiety, or social politics. Sometimes people just want to exist quietly inside a shared world. And honestly, I think that's valid. Because ultimately, we are all here because we enjoy the world itself. We like seeing bustling towns. We like watching players run by. We like knowing real people are crafting, trading, grouping, failing, succeeding, and accidentally training 12 skeletons to a newbie zone. There is a comfort in existing together alone. And please, stop telling solo MMO players to just go play a single-player game. We're not dumb. We know MMORPGs work best in groups. Trust me, we are aware. And I say this as someone fortunate enough to actually have a static group to experience the game the way it was designed. But I also genuinely enjoy the challenge of trying to survive in this hostile social ecosystem alone. Because 99% of the time, I am operating at my factory default introvert settings. Until next time. keep exploring, and I'll see you in the next world.